Whitney Reynolds Show, we are talking unique talents. From a man who can stick pretty much anything to his entire body, all the way to a musician who didn't let a physical disability and 20-plus surgeries stop him from living the dream.
The Whitney Reynolds Show is supported by the American Foundation for Suicide Prevention's Out of Darkness Chicagoland Walk, whose mission is to prevent suicide through research, advocacy, prevention, and education. Volvo, designed around you. And the Respiratory Health Association, raising funds and awareness for lung disease research and programs. Special thanks to 27 Live and Volvo of Oak Park.
We've all seen talented people. However, today's guests are unique for several reasons, and we are sharing their specialties with you. This week's topic is unique talents.
You're watching The Whitney Reynolds Show.
Our first guest is Chris Errera, a musician and composer who beat the odds when it comes to living out his dreams. Chris was born with a rare condition affecting 1 in 500,000 births, known as diastrophic dwarfism. Chris, welcome to the show.
Oh, thank you very much for having me.
So tell us what it was like growing up.
Well, I mean, I didn't grow up any different than anybody without a disability. I mean, having a disability in general, you do have different avenues that you have to take, that I don't have with somebody with a normal stature or without the problems I had. But growing up usually was fun. I was a crazy kid. I started playing the piano when I was right around 4. So I was very musically oriented. Parents kept me pretty busy. But my parents also knew when I was born to make sure that I was, adapted and coping mainstream.
So how did you get to playing the piano? Because I don't know if our viewers can see your fingers, but
my hands.
Yeah, it would look
my knuckles
like that.
don't bend.
Yeah. So was this like this from the beginning?
Yes.
When you were a kid?
Yes, I was born. With this deformity, it is from birth.
And so sometimes when people have a disability, they would say, "Let's stay away from that. If his fingers don't bend, let's not try the piano. Let's maybe try something that would be more in the arena of something he can do."
Exactly.
So what made them want to, at 4 years old? That's early with the piano.
It's early, but really, how it was explained and how my parents have spoken about it is, when I was very young, my parents knew that I would not have, everybody needs an out. You need something to make you. So they knew that sports and other very athletic or physical activities probably would not be something that I'd be able to do or do well. So my mom always said, then you know what, we're going to do music because music enhances your mind, it's good for you, and it gives me a uniqueness, something that I can say, hey, this is me.
Good mom.
Yeah, great parents, actually, great parents. Nobody knew that I would do what I'm doing today. I mean, you don't know, but you're like, hey, it just gives you a sense of identity back then. And from then on there,
So at 4 years old, were you a mastermind pianist at that time?
No, I was a normal kid. I practiced really hard. I hated to practice. Parents had to make me practice. I mean, I was really a normal kid growing up.
Did you have frustration because here your fingers don't bend, and a lot of the piano is like bending and movement? How did you?
I had
navigate?
wonderful teachers, and always having it. It's not like I had it and then it left me. So so sitting at the piano for me, it's normal to me. For somebody with larger fingers or fingers that bend at their knuckles, they could look at me and go, how do you do it? But I don't know any different. I don't know any better nor worse. So I adapt everything that works to me. And the teachers and the professors that taught me growing up were very accommodating. They were not scared by my limitations, or if there were any limitations, we just rewrote things if needed to. But I was very fortunate. I mean, really nothing that I couldn't play that was not written. And so, excelling was easy for me.
When did you know you had a very unique talent with this?
When I was 17.
Okay, what happened then?
Senior in high school, one of my band teachers came up to me and they knew I was starting to compose. So it was like my beginning. I started composing. I always wrote stuff, but really what I'd consider composing. Wow. And I entered a high school an IMEA. It's an Illinois Scholastic Musician Award contest that I entered in for composition. So I mean, it was the second song I ever really wrote at that time that where I felt comfortable was like letting it go.
Right.
And I won second place out of the whole state. And
Wow.
so when I got the letter back, I was very, it's really cool. And the person who won this was won it 3 times in a row, has written 3 or 4 things as a high schooler for the CSO. I mean, I was competing against very, very other well-talented people.
Seasoned, like that had been doing this for years.
And for me, whereas like, even though I was a senior year, I was like, wow, I mean, second one I ever wrote, and these were judged by other educators who are college educated, and they like what I do. So there's something here.
So from that moment on, did you say, okay, now I need to find a way to monetize this. I need to find a way to make this bigger.
Yeah, that was the time where I'm like, okay, we got something here. Now what do we do with it? What do I want to do with it? As you know, like anything in the entertainment industry, it's one of the hardest things to do. Mm-hmm. It's one of the hardest things to try to make money at. And second of all, because it's so broad, I feel like a lot of musicians go into it, I'm going to be a musician, I'm going to play rock songs. But entertainment is so vast. Well, where do you want to go? What do you want to do with it? You can do thousands and millions of little channels. The hardest thing for me was to hone down what I wanted to make my own style and my own skill.
Was it hard for you for people to take you serious? Were you ever worried, like, are people taking me serious?
No, I never had that. And the only reason why is I speak with confidence, I speak with intelligence, but at the back end of it, I back it up with my music. Meaning, like, if I sit down, and more times than not, if it's people that I really need to, I guess, impress, or at least if I'm doing a job or something, my music speaks for itself. I don't even say a word. If there's a piano there, I sit down and I play it, and if there's an audio device, I play and I let my music or my talent do the talking. I don't need to talk. I believe that people that talk too much, there might not be that much substance. So I'm opposite to where I'm not somebody who's like, no. Listen to this. Everybody's allowed to have their own judgment on it, but I hope you enjoy it.
Would you tell people not to judge a book by its cover?
Yes, 100%. I think society today is a little bit too focused on image. When you worry about image too much in society, you start to lose who you are as an individual. You try to mask yourself into other people or other images that you feel is accepted. And then you lose yourself because everybody's unique, as you know. And I think if we bring out our inner beauty of each person individually, it makes it a lot easier because then you're not trying to be something you're not. Me, I am me. I will always be me. I'm not changing. People can love me for that. They can also not like me. That's everybody's decision. But I will never not be myself. I will never be fake. I don't believe in it.
Well, thank you so much for coming on today and sharing your unique talent.
I appreciate it. It was a wonderful time, and thank you again for having me.
Joining me now, we have my friend and Illinois Secretary of State, Jesse White, who created the Jesse White tumbling team. This group was formed in 1959 to provide a positive alternative for inner city kids. They twist, they flip, and awe the crowd. Let's talk to Jesse. Welcome to the show.
Glad to be on board.
It is so nice to have you in the studio with us.
Glad to be here.
Well, tell us about the Jesse White tumbling team.
See, I was a gymnast as a kid, taught gymnastics for the Park District Board of Education, YMCA. And I was asked to put on this gym show at the Rockwell Garden Fieldhouse, which is a part of the Chicago Park District system. And from that one gym show in December 1959 came this program. We are 58 years of age, and we've had over 16,500 young people to come through the program. As we speak, we have 325, and out of the 325, 51 are in college. You can be a good athlete once you be a good student and a good human being. And we insist upon these young people being in school on time every day and having one aim in mind, and that's to get the best education possible.
So when you watch the Tumblers, because I'm sure our viewers are seeing the B-roll, it is amazing. Do these kids come in already knowing how to flip, or do you teach them?
We teach them. We have a training program at the Jesse White Community Center at 412 West Chicago Avenue, and we have one at the Kroc Center on the south side. And we have 250 young people in training. And we also have 325 who make up the team. and they have to know how to do the forward roll, back roll, cartwheel, round on flip-flop before they can be admitted into the class.
Well, I can do that. I can do it. Would you say a forward roll, a back roll, and a round off?
Round off, flip-flop. We have taken these young people to Zagreb, Croatia, Belize, Israel, China, Tokyo, Japan, Hong Kong, Honolulu, Hawaii, Honokai, Hawaii, 17 times to Canada. We turned down about 300 requests. Can I put them into our schedule? And with our 7 units, we do about 1,500 shows a year.
1,500 shows a year. And when people write in, they want to see the talent that they bring.
No doubt about it. But one of the things that the beauty of this program is that it keeps these young people out of harm's way. And when we do a show, we get paid, and the money will go to the kids. Because we perform for most of the NBA teams and professional baseball and football, the list goes on and on.
So once the kids come in and they can do the forward roll, the back roll, the round off, do they make the team then, or do they have to train and then there's like...
they have to continue the training process, because we want to make sure that they are refined enough so that when we put the product out into society, that it's respectable and presentable.
Well, and one thing I always enjoy is whenever I see the team in parades, you're driving the van. You are the hands and feet of this still.
Well, yes, and I've spent a lot of time making the schedule, writing up the contracts, and making sure that we dot our I's, cross our T's, and make sure that the program works in a positive way.
In your time in office, would you say this is just as rewarding as serving these kids as serving the state?
Well, yes, someone helped me to be where I am today, and it's called give back. I believe that when you become successful in life, you give back, but you also should do something good for someone every day, and that's how I run my life.
That's good, Jesse. Thank you so much for coming on.
We did. Thank you. Glad to be on board.
Next up, we have a duo, a dynamic one that is. Tim Wambach and Mike Bergson. Mike, who has cerebral palsy, teamed up with Tim to create a motivational experience, letting guests know they can do anything they put their minds to. Let's find out about Handicap This. Welcome to the show, Mike and Tim.
Thank you.
So tell us about your special talent. What would you consider it, Tim, whenever you're talking about what you guys do?
Well, the name of the show is called Handicap This, and it's really Mike and I's relationship kind of developed on stage. The obstacles that we've overcome, the perseverance that Mike exhibits every single day, and really using those attributes and putting it into an educational, empowering, and entertaining vehicle.
So the name Handicap This, sometimes people want to stay away from the obvious, like, oh, I don't want to say handicap, I don't want to say a disorder, I don't want to say anything like that. But that's in the name, so you put it out there. Is that kind of like what you lead with the show, Mike?
Well, we lead with how I deal with my handicap, and I always use the word handicap, and I'm very politically incorrect because I feel that when you are telling people something, that when you're trying to be true and trying to tell people a true story, you should be upfront about it. So we wanna give you a real punch to the gut. We want the audience to sit up and say, we want to give them something that's gonna kind of grab their attention. And I just refer to myself as handicapped. Like, I never use the word disabled to describe myself ever, so we just never used it. So we just said we're not going to use it for this show.
So how did you form this show? Was it something that, like, you were speaking, you're like, we should speak together?
Actually, so kind of how this all kind of unfolded, I was Mike's one-on-one aide in school back in 2001. I worked with Mike for like 3 years. And then in 2005, I had this crazy idea where I'd take Mike and his twin brother to Disney World in Florida. And then after we had fun at the Magic Kingdom, Mike and David would fly back to Chicago, leaving me behind to run back. And in August 2005, I ran 717 miles between Orlando and Chicago.
You did it?
Yes.
Oh my goodness, now that's a talent in itself.
I did not.
Mike bookended it. He was there at the beginning and there at the end. So that was really kind of like the domino that fell, where people started asking us to tell our story. So we started telling our story to different organizations, and then like we did like parent groups, we did like youth groups and stuff like that. And Mike and I realized that the audiences always loved us, whether they were adults or kids or whatever. And we're like, what if we kind of turned our relationship into an actual stage show?
So, what does a stage show look like? What does this look like?
What does it look like? Okay.
It's a hard question to answer, right, Mike?
It's just me and him on stage, and then we use audio and video to enhance the story that we tell. So all the story that we tell, and there is an art to it. So it's not a play because it's all true, but we just use some videos, some music, just to enhance the story, and just to kind of make it more fun and more visually stimulating for the audience.
Would you say that speaking is a talent?
Absolutely,
Yeah.
and it's a skill that can be learned, and you can get better at it. I think some people are naturally born with being good communicators, or whatnot. I think Mike and I, we work well together. We have really, really great chemistry on stage, and the audience feels it right away.
So you're walking the audience through his story?
I guess you'd say
More
our story, but we use a lot of both of our kind of experiences.
Yeah.
That's so cool. So when you perform, does it leave, like you said, you used a lot of words to describe the show. Was that the objective, is to say, like, to highlight, because the name of the show is Handicap This,
Right.
to highlight that people can get through what they're going through?
Yeah, I think really what I was looking at from our standpoint, or from my standpoint, really wanting people to see Mike as an individual and not as someone who uses a wheelchair or has a disability, but as just a person. And I think what's really great about the way that we communicate our story is it kind of hits the audience on a lot of different levels.
Yeah, and what I wanted to do is I wanted to give like a voice to the physically disabled, because there's not a lot of entertainment physically disabled. Like, yeah, I want to inspire people and I want to make people go after their own golden dreams, but if I don't entertain them, that's what I want to do. That's how I know I did a good job in the moment. If they're laughing, if they're having a good time, that's how I know I did my job in the moment, and that's how I know we did a good job. We did a good show in the moment.
What would you want our viewers at home to know about you?
Me, I would say I'm just like everybody else, but I'm not like anything you would expect.
What we do is we are uniquely ourselves when we're on stage, and we have I don't want to say disagreements on stage, but there'll be times when we'll be improvising and we'll kind of have our own little conversation, and the audience is kind of just privy to what we're doing, and we're like, no, we're not supposed to do that. We're supposed to do this, or we'll kind of mess with each other a little bit.
Yeah.
Too much fun. Well, we'll have to check that out for sure. Well, thank you both for coming on.
Thank you.
It's now time for the viewer's voice, and this week's question is, do you have a special talent, and what is it? We want to hear from you. Also, make sure to tweet at Whitney Reynolds.
My secret talent is I have a sixth sense. I can kind of predict, like if we're at a sporting event and it says, pick a number or whatever, I can usually pick that number.
My secret talent is karaoke, unfortunately, and I'm not going to sing, so don't ask. But no, I love karaoke. It's hilarious and fun, and I think the expression is dance like no one's watching. Well, I sing like no one's watching, and that's good or bad for whoever might be having to be in the audience. So,
I was an actor for 15 years, a producer for 7, a sports agent, and don't even ask me how. And then I was I directed I'm in my own business. I've written 4 books. I'm a coach and motivational speaker. Other than that, I do nothing.
Last but not least, we have one of the most unique talents around, a man known as Canhead, because he does just that, sticks cans to his head. Let's welcome Jamie Keaton. So your real name's Jamie, but you go by Canhead.
Yes.
So you can actually stick cans to your head.
Not only cans, bottles, phones, almost anything, as long as it's not porous.
What is it that causes this to happen?
My skin pores literally suck in oxygen, and as it sucks in the oxygen, it generates body heat. So my skin actually forms a natural cupping sensation of suction.
So how many people in the whole world have this?
I'm one of 4 in the world.
1 of 4.
That they know of.
How did you find out you had this unique talent?
Well, at 7 years old, I was playing with my toys, and all of a sudden they stuck like this.
Now this is not a magic trick.
No, this
is actually legit. Your pores are sucking the can and things to you.
Here, pull on it without crushing it.
That is ridiculous.
So.
And that's what's happening with almost anything. And it's not just your head, as we could see your hands. Right. So you were 7 years old, and all of a sudden you're playing with toys, and this happens.
Stuck in I showed my mom, and she goes, "Oh, it's just a pine set from climbing trees." And I was like, okay. So I didn't pay much attention until I got older.
So then you realized that you must be playing in a lot of pine. Because it was like,
well, I'm from Florida, so there's pine trees everywhere around me, so I would climb the trees as a kid. But I didn't pay much attention to it.
So then you find out later on, this is like a real, like, things are sticking to me. Did you go to the doctor and say, what the heck is going on?
Well, it took me a while because when I'm swimming or if I'm sweating, it clogs the pores so it doesn't stick. So I literally have to dry my skin off before I can stick something to it. So being in Florida, what am I doing? Swimming or sweating?
Right.
So until I got older, I shaved my head for the first time. Went to a ball game, and as I was dried my head down, then I cooled it down with a can of pop. And as I was cooling it down, they hit a home run. I went up to grab it, missed it, and all of a sudden I was like, "Where's my drink?" Everybody was laughing. Unbeknownst to me, every time I did this, drink would fly out that way. Doing this,
but not
would fly out that way.
But not the cup. It was
no, it was just like that.
That is
gonna be going, "Where's my drink?"
That's beyond wild. And so when people first meet you, they're like, "Is this a magic trick? Like, where's the magnet? Where's the tape?"
Well, that's why I actually, when I do things, I use aluminum, plastic, or glass.
Yeah, show us how the nuts work.
I just stick it on.
That is amazing.
How about this?
You just keep them on there. So you do this now all the time. You have won awards. Tell us the latest thing that you've won.
I just went to Beijing, China, and won the Guinness World Record for the most cans stuck to a human head.
How many cans was that?
They asked me to do 7, but I did 8. But I know I can do 14.
And you know you can do this because you do this in your spare time.
Yeah, I actually go to the grocery store, start sticking stuff to my head all the time, just to test it out. And then I release it.
How did you release that just now?
I think about it, just like when I got to move these to do that, but I go, and they pop off.
And so you can think about it and have it released.
Yes, and that's the part where they're starting to think, well, it's more than what they thought it was. So now
can you release the back of your head right now if you want to?
I can't release the back one yet. I only can reach right in here.
Yeah.
But what's even amazing more is when, sort of like an X-Men, is when I can shoot them off my hand like this. Can you catch?
Oh, yeah. Oh!
Good catch.
Yeah! Oh, man. Okay, so you can actually shoot them off your hands. You can put them almost anywhere.
I can actually put things anywhere on my body.
And you've turned this into not only a talent, but you've turned it into be able to monetize it and make a living.
Yes, I actually do a lot of marketing for companies, and I'll go to like NASCAR events or something like that. But the thing is, what made it more amazing is that I averaged between 60 to 80,000 pictures a day taken of me at NASCAR events.
So what would you sum this up? Would you say this is a weird talent, a unique talent? What would you call this?
Well, I would say unique.
I love it.
It's very unique.
It is. And then what do you want to keep doing with it?
I want to keep doing on the same path I'm on right now, is that marketing for people, and then eventually get into movies and stuff like that.
Do your kids have this same type of thing?
No, I wish they did. It'd be cool to have a superhuman family, but you know, but it's only me so far.
And just to explain it again, the doctor said this, like, you're 1 in...
I'm 1 of 4 in the world.
And then this, have they seen this before, or was it something that you were kind of like, hey?
When I first showed him, like when I went to the doctor, I actually was wearing a can of nuts, and he goes, "How do you do that?" I go, "That's why I'm here to ask." And he goes, "Well, he's tested some things on my skin, and how I can, let me see your hand, go like this. You'll hear
Oh, the suction is there.
Yeah. So it sticks all over it. And he's like, well, that's not normal. And we went and did a couple more tests, and he says, you know what? They did study on it, and they said there's like 2 other ones that they knew of at that time that have something similar to me. So maybe that's what it is, but they haven't named it yet.
Wow.
So they're trying to figure us all out.
They should name it Canhead. Yeah.
I'm more, I don't care what it's named. It's just that I thought it was cool that I have it.
I love it. Well, thank you so much for coming on and explaining this very unique talent that you have.
Oh, thank you.
We all have specialties built in each of us, but sometimes we don't see them as unique. We wanted to highlight that it is possible to break the mold and take that special talent you have and go for it. For more information on today's show, visit WhitneyReynolds.com.
The Whitney Reynolds Show is supported by the American Foundation for Suicide Prevention's Out of Darkness Chicagoland Walk, whose mission is to prevent suicide through research, advocacy, prevention, and education. Volvo, designed around you. And the Respiratory Health Association, raising funds and awareness for lung disease research and programs. Special thanks to 27 Live and Volvo of Oak Park.